The door sticks. It always has. I have to put my shoulder into it, just a little, just a gentle lean of the weight I have left to make the wood yield. It gives way with a sound that is less of a creak and more of a sigh, a dry friction of paint rubbing against paint. I step inside. The air in here is different from the hallway. It is still. It holds a chill that the radiator, clanking away in the corner, never quite manages to dispel. It smells of old paper, of binding glue, and of something fainter. Dried lavender, perhaps, or just the dust of 40 years settling into the weave of the carpet. I move to the chair. It takes time now. My knees are stiff, the cartilage worn thin like the elbows of this cardigan I'm wearing. I place one hand on the desk to steady myself. The wood is cool, smooth under my palm, and I lower myself down. The leather of the armchair groans. It is a cracked burgundy leather, shaped entirely to a man who existed years ago. It accepts me, but it feels too big now. I have shrunk. The room seems to have stayed the same size, but I occupy less of it. I sit. I wait for my breath to catch up with me. It's a small room, 10 feet by 12 maybe. The window faces north, so the light is never aggressive here. It is always this pale blue-gray wash, even in the height of summer. It is a room for shadows, a room for keeping things. This is where it happened. I look at the wall opposite me. The wallpaper is a pattern of small interlocking vines. If you stare at it long enough, the vines seem to move, to tighten. I know every repeat in the pattern. I know the place, just above the skirting board, where the seam has begun to lift. I could reach down and peel it back if I had the energy or the inclination, but I don't. I just watch it. It wasn't a loud event. People think of endings as explosions. Shattered plates, slammed doors, suitcases thrown onto the bed with violent purpose. It wasn't like that. Not for us. Not in this room. It was a Tuesday. I remember that because the recycling truck was outside. I could hear the glass bottles crashing into the hopper. A violent sound outside for a quiet death inside. I was sitting right here, in this chair. I was reading a book about naval history. I don't remember which one. The book is probably still on the shelf behind me, its spine faded to white. She stood in the doorway, just where I entered a moment ago. She was holding a cup of tea. I can see her hands. She had such capable hands, small but strong. The knuckles were starting to swell then, just like mine are now. She was wearing her blue house coat, the one with the pocket that had ripped, and she had stitched it back up with thread that didn't quite match. She didn't come in. She never really liked this room. She called it my cave. She stood on the threshold, the line between the warmth of the house and the stillness of this space. "I think that's it then," she said. That was all. I looked up from my book. I remember keeping my finger on the page to mark my place, a foolish habit, as if I would be going back to the sentence, as if the narrative would continue uninterrupted. "Is it?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "I think so." She took a sip of her tea. She didn't look at me when she drank. She looked at the window, at the gray light falling on the desk. She looked at the dust motes dancing in the shaft of light, and then she turned and walked back down the hall. I heard her footsteps on the floorboards. I heard the kitchen tap run. I heard the radio turn on, low, and I sat here for a very long time. That is the memory that lives in the corners of this room. It is not a ghost. It is just a texture. It coats the furniture. I reach out now and touch the edge of the desk. My fingernails are ridges, brittle and pale. The skin on my hand is translucent. I can see the blue veins mapping out routes to nowhere. This desk was messy then. Piles of bills, letters, half-finished projects. It is clean now. Empty. Just the lamp, the blotter, and the silence. I wonder sometimes if I should have stood up, if I should have dropped the book, if I should have crossed the room, fought the stiffness in my legs, and taken her hands. But the distance between the chair and the door seemed impossible. It wasn't 10 feet. It was a canyon. It was 30 years of small silences, piled one on top of the other until they formed a wall. I shift my weight. The hip joint protests, a dull, grinding ache. I rub it absently. The room is filling with the afternoon gloom. The sun is dropping behind the row of houses across the street. The light on the wall changes from gray to a bruised purple. I should turn the lamp on. The switch is right there, a small brass toggle. But I like the dimness. It hides the dust. I look at the rug. It's a Persian style, red and navy, threadbare in the center. I used to pace on this rug. Back when I had the energy to pace. Back when I was working and there were problems to solve. I would walk 3 steps to the window, turn, 3 steps to the door, turn. I wore a path into the wool, a track of anxiety. She would hear me pacing. Sometimes she would call out from the living room, "You'll wear a hole in the floorboards, Henry." Her voice, it's hard to summon it exactly now. I can remember the words, but the timbre, the specific grain of her voice is fading. It's like a photograph left in the sun. The edges are blurring. I try to hold on to it. I close my eyes and try to hear her say my name. Henry. It comes to me as a whisper, a dry sound. In this room, we were separate. This was the room of separation. We had the bedroom, where we slept back to back. We had the kitchen, where we moved around each other in a choreographed dance of toast and kettles, never touching. But this room was mine. And because it was mine, it was where the distance was measured. I look at the bookshelf. It covers the entire east wall, floor to ceiling, hundreds of books. Some I have read 3 times, some I have never opened. They are insulation. They muffle the world. When she left, not that day, but weeks later, when the boxes were actually packed, I came in here and rearranged them. I took them all down and put them back in alphabetical order by author. It took me 3 days. My back was in agony. But I needed to do it. I needed to control the order of something. There is a gap on the 3rd shelf. A small gap, wide enough for maybe 2 paperbacks. I don't remember what used to be there. I stare at the dark wood of the shelf visible through the gap. That empty space bothers me. It feels like a missing tooth. I should move the other books to fill it, push them together, close the ranks. But I leave it. It's a monument to something. I'm not sure what. My tea is getting cold. I brought a cup in with me, set it on the coaster. I haven't touched it. I reach for it now. My hand shakes. Just a tremor. The china rattles against the saucer as I lift it. I have to use both hands to steady it. The tea is lukewarm. It tastes of tannin and milk that has sat too long. I drink it anyway. It's a routine. Swallow, breathe, wait. I look out the window. There is a tree in the neighbor's garden. A sycamore. It was a sapling when we moved in. Now it towers over the fence. Its branches are bare. It's winter or close to it. The sky is a flat, featureless sheet of slate. A bird lands on a branch, a crow. It sits there, black and heavy, looking at the house. It looks at me. I look at it. We are 2 old things watching the day end. When the marriage ended, in this room, nothing physical changed. The walls didn't crack. The window didn't shatter. The air just got heavier. It became solid. I remember asking her weeks later, why? She was in the hall putting on her coat, the beige raincoat. Because I'm lonely, Henry, she said, and I'm tired of being lonely in the same house as you. I didn't understand it then. I thought presence was enough. I thought being in the same building, paying the bills, eating the meals was enough. I didn't understand that you can be in a room with someone and be completely alone. Now I understand. I am in this room and I am alone. And the difference is remarkable. The silence now is honest. It doesn't expect anything. It doesn't wait for a sentence to be finished. It just is. I lean my head back against the leather. The antimacassar, that silly lace cloth she insisted on putting on the headrest, scratches the back of my neck. I never took it off. It's yellowed now. It smells of her hairspray, or I imagine it does. Probably just dust. The room is getting darker. The corners are disappearing. The pile of magazines on the floor by the radiator is just a lump of shadow. I drift. My eyes close. Not sleep, not quite, just a lowering of the shutters. I think about the objects in here, the brass letter opener in the drawer, the box of staples, the stapler that always jams. These things will outlast me. Someone will come in here one day, and they will look at this room. They will see a small, cramped study full of old books and a smell of stale air. They won't see the Tuesday afternoon. They won't see the woman in the blue housecoat standing in the doorway. They won't hear the recycling truck. They will just see a room. They will say, this must have been the grandfather's office. They will bring boxes. They will sweep the books into the boxes. They will roll up the rug with the pacing track. They will strip the wallpaper with the interlocking vines. It will all go. But for now it is here, and I am here. I open my eyes. The light is almost gone. The street lamp outside has flickered on. It casts an orange, artificial glow through the window, throwing the shadow of the window frame onto the floor. A grid of light. A cage. I need to get up. My legs will seize if I stay here too long. The evening news will be on the television downstairs. I should go down and watch it. I should heat up the soup. But I stay for another minute. I look at the door frame. I can almost see her there. The after image. The way her shoulder leaned against the wood. The way she held the cup. I think that's it then. I whisper the words into the empty room. My voice sounds cracked, foreign. I think that's it. I place my hands on the arms of the chair. I push. It is a monumental effort. The gravity seems stronger in this room. The earth pulls harder here. I grunt with the exertion, pushing up, straightening the spine, locking the knees. I stand. I am unsteady for a moment, swaying like the sapling that became a tree. I wait for the dizziness to pass. I look down at the chair. The impression of my body is left in the leather, a ghost of a seated man. I turn to the desk. I pick up the cold teacup. I shouldn't leave it here. It will leave a ring. I walk to the door. I pause at the threshold, exactly where she stood. I turn back and look at the room. The orange street light cuts across the darkness. The dust motes are invisible now. The silence is absolute. It is just a room, just four walls and a floor. It is not a tragedy. It is just a place where time passed and where love wore thin, like the rug. I turn away. I step into the hallway. The air is warmer here. I pull the door shut behind me. It sticks, resisting the closure. I have to pull hard. Click. The latch engages. The room is sealed. I can hear the refrigerator humming from the kitchen. The house is alive. I am alive. I walk down the hall, the cup rattling gently in my hand, moving toward the light of the kitchen, leaving the small room behind me in the dark. One foot in front of the other, slow, steady, continuing.